This is Making Waves, a series of podcasts celebrating and commemorating 25 years of Wave Community Bank.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Making Waves, part of the celebratory and commemorating podcast series for Wave Community Bank, celebrating their 25 years in operation. This week's podcast is a little bit different because we've been going 25 years, but we're actually going to be talking to someone today who has been, up until recently, involved in credit unions for 36 years. I am joined on the podcast today by Marlene Shiels OBE, former boss of Capital Credit Union. What was the job title, Marlene?
So, hi, Phil. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today. So I was the chief executive of Capital Credit Union for 22 of the 36 years that I've been involved with the organisation.
So what kind of, first inspired you to get involved in the credit union movement, and what made you stay the course for that long?
Yeah, it's really funny because I grew up in Ireland, and of course, credit unions are very, very big in Ireland. But when I was growing up in the north, they weren't just as well known. So by the time I went to live in Edinburgh, Scotland, I didn't actually know what a credit union was. But I was working for the local authority that at that time, and the local authority and some of the councillors had gone to Sheffield for a meeting, and they heard about this concept of a credit union, which was way back in 1987. So the councillors came back to the local authority, the chief executive and the leadership team, and said, we want a credit union for our employees, particularly the employees who have fewer financial choices. So that was over 3,000 ancillary workers. And as I say, that was way back in 1987. And it took us nearly 2 years to get the credit union registered and up and running and get the first members into the credit union. But because I was working for the local authority in the HR department, I ended up actually doing a lot of the admin to get the credit union registered and to get it off. So that was how I got involved in it. There was no big epiphany. It was my work. It sounded like a really good idea. And once we got it up and running, it was like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever for financial services.
And is that kind of that the whole thing is what made you stay the course for literally those 36 years?
Yeah, I got very quickly, I ended up becoming a volunteer. So I joined the credit union in day one. I was a workplace representative on day one, but within the year, I ended up in the board of directors. And I will tell you, at 26 years old on a board of directors, I had no clue what I was doing, but I understood the power of the credit union and how it was helping colleagues, myself included. Over these years, I've had all my car loans from the credit union. My life savings are in Capital Credit Union, and all my mortgages have been with the credit union as well. And when you see how this mutual institute, this cooperative, can change people's lives for the better, and that's what credit unions do very often. They're changing people's lives. Well, it just grips you. What's not to like? I realized very, very quickly that I wanted this to be a career where I could help people every day.
Would you say that it's possible for you to actually define what your proudest moment's been, or whether you have a specific achievement that you're particularly proud of during your time in the sector?
Oh my goodness, in 36 years, Phil, there's a lot of big moments, as you can imagine. I've been really fortunate in my career. I've been on the board of the World Council of Credit Unions. I've been on the board of the Association of British Credit Unions. I've been on the board of the Chartered Banker Institute, and many, many opportunities. But I think I would link it to the royal family, if I may, in so much that for many years I was an advisor on financial inclusion to our now Queen Camilla when she was here in Scotland, the Duchess of Rothesay. So I spent 10 years working with her, which was remarkable when you think about it. And, took her to many credit unions to visit. She was an amazing ambassador. And, I think that's partly why I ended up with an OBE from our late Queen Elizabeth. But I think the proudest moment was when I told my mum. And I told her that she had to keep it a secret. You can't tell anyone until I get OBE. But of course, no, mothers are mothers. And she told all of her friends back in Belfast and swore them all to secrecy. And I think that was the proudest moment because my mom was so proud of me.
As someone who's obviously, had a big say in the direction of the credit union movement, can I ask what you think now are the potential threats and maybe the biggest opportunities facing credit unions now?
Yeah, I have said this so many times over 36 years that credit unions are on the cusp, but I've never believed that more than I believe it today because the opportunities for us at the moment are really there for the taking. And, when I think about we've got a Labour government that really genuinely believes in doubling the sector, the mutual sector. So we've got a government behind us in a way that we haven't had in the past just as much. But with the government and the Financial Inclusion Committee that they set up and the work that they're going to be doing to promote not just credit unions, but the whole of the mutual sector, there are so many other initiatives that are bubbling away there. So one example is CUSO's, Credit Union Shared Services Organisation. I've been working very closely with through Capital Credit Union, Glasgow Credit Union, and Scott West Credit Union. We've set up the first, I would say, mainstream QSO in Great Britain at the moment, which is going to be delivering products and services not only to those three credit unions in the first instance, but to other credit unions throughout Scotland and Great Britain. And I say QSOs because I've been so fortunate to visit Africa and America and Asia. And QSOs are a game changer when credit unions start to collaborate and work together and they start harnessing that buying power, not as an individual credit union, but as five, as 10, as 15, as 20. So I think QSOs are definitely one of the biggest opportunities that we have in the movement at the moment. But I do think there are other opportunities, and that advocacy piece, working with government, working with organizations such as Fair for All Finance, really to get the message out there. The credit unions are here. They're for everyone. We don't want them to be the best kept secret. We want everybody in every community to understand the power that credit unions have in building financial resilience for individuals, but also building communities. So lots of opportunities. Threats, I think our biggest threat is if we miss these opportunities, if we don't start to collaborate, not cooperate. We're brilliant at cooperating. We're brilliant at cooperating credit union to credit union. But for me, collaboration is more about doing. It's more about action. It's more about working together. And I think the biggest threat is if we don't start working together, then other institutions will start to move into our space. And that's a worry. Our credit union is going to be relevant in 5, 10, 20 years if we continue to be niche. We need to burst out and actually make sure that everybody knows who we are and what we do.
When the team at Wave are out talking to people, we use the tagline, "We are people helping people." And I'm interested to know if there's anything that you've learned about people and money that has actually surprised you over the 36 years.
Yeah, do you know the biggest thing that surprises me, Phil, is we think generally we think that people with fewer financial choices and people with less money are worse money managers, and that often isn't the case. And we think people with good jobs are better money managers. And I can tell you, I have seen over 36 years that it doesn't matter how well educated you are. It doesn't necessarily matter how much money you have. If you haven't been taught at an early age the value of money and how to manage money, then you can get into difficulties very, very quickly. And I will tell you, my time in Capital Credit Union, you would think when you see all the bad debt statistics coming in and then you see the members' situation, you'd think, well, maybe it's mostly people with fewer financial choices and less money. But it's teachers, it's chief executives, it's social workers. If people are not taught at an early age how to manage their money, then we're just setting them up for failure. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned is not to judge people by their income, their job, but is to help people actually be better money managers so that everybody can be financially resilient.
It is something we hear a lot when we're out and about, that a certain generation feel that the most recent couple of generations haven't had that financial education. If you could ha teach, the next generation one thing about managing their money, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. I think I would be saying, and in fact, I don't think I do, we had quite a young team at Capital Credit Union. And certainly, as colleagues, we talked a lot about future financial resilience, not just the here and now, not just the instant gratification, but to think about the future. And, when you're talking to a 21-year-old about their pension, it's a little bit like, yeah, I don't have to worry about that today, and trying to teach people that if you start to really think about saving today for tomorrow, I can almost guarantee you're going to have a better financial future when you start to think about it as early as possible. So for me, for young people, it's about learning how to balance your finances. Make sure you start saving at a very, very early age. And there's a saying that we band around credit unions from time to time: pay yourself first. So save first, pay yourself first, start investing in your future. And that, I can't sing that loudly enough from the treetops. Invest in yourself. And if you do that today, tomorrow will look after itself.
So this seems almost like I'm giving you wishes here. So the final wish then, if you had a magic wand and could change one thing about how society views money or community finance, what would it be?
My goodness, if I had a magic wand, I think what I would do is two things. I would make sure that every single person in the United Kingdom understood what a credit union was. They understood our not-for-profit nature. They understood that credit unions make a difference every day in people's lives. And it's not just there for people who are financially excluded. It's there for everybody. It's there for whole communities. As I mentioned earlier, all my mortgages, all my car loans have always been through Capital Credit Union. I think the other thing, which for me is really powerful, is when you say to someone, you're an owner of this organization, you are a member owner. When I go out and I talk to young people and I say to them, do you want to own your bank? Do you want to be someone who can actually have a say in making a difference? Do you want to potentially be on a board of directors and help build your CV, which is what I did? So for me, it's twofold. It's about making sure everybody knows what a credit union is and how it can help people of all walks of life, regardless of your social or economic circumstances. But it's also making sure that everybody knows credit unions are for everyone.
Marlene Shiels OBE, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and have a chat with you.
Thank you, Phil.
Making Waves is produced by and on behalf of Wave Community Bank. For more details, visit our website on www.wavecb.org.uk.